Pete, just what was the process like in the offseason? Obviously a difficult end to last year, but deciding to come back here for your last year, and just what were your conversations like with the coaching staff on that front?
I mean, we met pretty quickly. I mean, after the MAC championship game, I think he gave pretty much everyone like a week and a half to kind of get their thoughts together. Obviously, a heartbreaking loss at the end of last season. But as soon as I went in, I talked to my family, the people in my circle, and I knew I wanted to come back immediately. I mean, it's great coaching staff, great people. Obviously, great year last year, a lot of fun to come back to. But yeah, it was a no-brainer in my mind.
What's it like coming back to a team that you just have so much familiarity with now, that's bringing back so many of the key pieces from last year?
I think it's great. I mean, coming last year being my first year here at Miami, you got to earn trust, earn the teammates' trust, the coaches' trust, especially being a captain and a leader. But this year, I mean, it's from the jump. From June 13 when we got here, people already trust me, which is just a great feeling overall.
Pete, can you talk about what the focus is kind of early on as you guys are approaching the season?
Yeah, I'm gonna give you two. I'm gonna say adversity. I mean, throughout the season, whatever type of year we have, we're gonna have a bump in the road where we need to lock in as a team, come back together, and face adversity. But then I'm also gonna say, I mean, after the year we had last year, there's a target on our back now. We're not 6 or 7 in the preseason rankings. We're 2, and we got a lot of key pieces back this year. So we got to treat every game like it's everybody's Super Bowl, like it's the MAC championship every single game. So that's the focus, definitely.
For you personally, what are you kind of focusing on, I guess, from a personal aspect? I
would say getting the younger guys ready as well. I mean, we got 5 freshmen coming in last year. We only had 1. Luke Skowjak, I mean, he did a great job, obviously, last year. But we got 5 new guys, a transfer from Bradley, Elmer. So just getting those guys ready for the season and what's ahead of us.
How does that kind of mix work together with the freshmen, and now you guys are the upperclassmen? How has that worked in training camp?
It's a lot of fun. I mean, these guys coming from everywhere, different high schools around the country. I mean, it's been a lot of fun teaching them, getting them to learn the system offensively and defensively. But I think it's a great spot to come to Miami, come in as a freshman.
Is there anything in particular you learned about either the MAC or, playing at this level with the competition that you had last year, either on personal level or as a team?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to say 1 through 13 or however many teams are in the MAC. I mean, if it's a conference game, you can lose. I mean, you got to treat every game like I said before. I mean, it's the MAC championship. You got to come bring it your all, and you got to understand that teams are going to give you the best shot no matter where they are in the rankings.
You talked a little bit about it, but there were some difficulties getting that non-conference schedule laid out. How does the team feel about that, knowing that teams are almost cautious about facing Miami now?
I mean, it's an honor. I mean, obviously coming off a really good year, I mean, it would be tough to play a team like us, but it also it's not disappointing almost, but everybody wants to play those high majors and see if they can steal one in the non-conference. But regardless of what our schedule is, we're going to go out there and compete.
I guess starting to begin the year now, how often do you all as a team talk about the end of last season, use it for motivation?
It's definitely motivation. We don't talk about it as much. We try to keep going forward, focus on the next year, but it's definitely in the back of our minds at some point, yes.
Pete, talk about your game and what has strengthened since last year. What are the things that you're working on now to incorporate? Maybe it's something that you're going back to that you used 3 years ago.
Yeah, I'm going to say just let the game come to me and slow down a little bit. Sometimes, when you're having a good game, you want to get the ball right away and make a good play. But sometimes just let the ball breathe, let a game come to you, and just slow down on offense and defense.
Eian, this is year 3 for you at Miami now. Can you talk about what's keeping you coming back to Oxford, and especially that group? You got Evan Ipsaro as well coming back.
I think a big part of it is the coaching staff. When they brought us in when we were still in high school recruiting us, they told us we were going to build something special. And, going off of last year, we didn't finish the job like we wanted it to. So I think it just goes in us competing and wanting to be great.
Individually, what were some of the things that you wanted to work on over the off season? What were some things you wanted to improve on in your game?
Just playing the game slower, being able to read offense and defense. I want to make my presence felt even more, be more impactful for the game.
What's been your impression so far this freshman class now that you've got the chance to practice with them a bit?
I think they're a talented group. they brought in 5, it's like we did our freshman year. So we always had that conversation of like who 5 is better. I think we would have smoked them though, but yeah, I think they're great players. They're gonna have great careers at Miami, and yeah, they're exciting.
What's the process been like just going through camp, knowing that most of your starting lineup is back and that a good bulk of your bench minutes are back too? And how has that kind of helped your guys' connectedness through this first month or so of practice?
Especially in the landscape today, like I've stayed at Miami, so being able to bring back a lot of players from the previous team, it's a feeling like, like you get to go to war again with your brothers. And, it's been great. Like we already know how each other play, so like the days on practice where we do like get to be on the same team, like those are the days where it's like, yeah, everything's just rolling. So,
Eian, can you kind of talk about what the conversation's been like since that MAC championship game last year, and how you guys are kind of prepping to kind of make sure that that's not going to stay in the back of your guys' mind?
The biggest thing I would say is, we fell short last year, but and we brought back players, so people are just giving us that respect, sort of like that we're gonna be good, but we still gotta work and earn that. I think that's been a conversation, is how are we gonna go out there and demand respect? Because we know we're gonna get everybody's best shot. We're gonna be everybody's Super Bowl, but we have to earn, those wins still. Like nothing's given. So.
How's it feel to be part of bringing Miami basketball up? They had got a lot of wins last year, and elevating the program. May not have quite made it where he wanted to, but it definitely, has the program on the ascending level. How's that feel for you and the rest of the guys?
I think it's something that like we're very proud of. Like I said, we're competitors, and being able to bring back Miami to like what it was before, like the prestigious program that it was, is a big feeling. That's why a lot of us came back. It's just something like, it's just like sort of pride with it. So yeah.
Obviously, I have a lot of anticipation coming into this season with returners, right? But how have you guys just sort of managed the attention, the anticipation through camp as you get closer to the first game of the year?
Yeah, you got to embrace the process. It's like we talked about. It's what Pete and Ian both said. Listen, we had a good year last year, but that was last year. You got to go earn that right every day through our work. Started this summer when we got our team back. I think it was roughly around June 15th, where we had 8 weeks to train and kind of start to formulate an identity of who we are, right, as a team, and just getting guys to understand, man, you got to press reset, which is hard. Which is very difficult to do, and you can't skip any steps. And our guys have done a great job, starting with the leadership of Ian and Peter and Evan Absar. Our 3 captains have done a tremendous job.
Little bit of an older team this year, just with more returners compared to the rest of your tenure. What do you think is the role that these freshmen are going to have to play this year, and what have been your impressions of how they fit in so far?
Yeah, we're fortunate to get the guys returning that we have. Right, we got several guys that played big roles on last year's team, and then and those guys are all trying to figure out their new roles, right, as they're continuing to grow their game, and we want guys to develop and get better. Then you got all these 5 freshmen and 1 transfer, so we have 6 new guys that we brought into the program. And listen, I think the freshmen are all very talented, all 5 of them. They've all had great moments during the preseason, but like most freshmen, sometimes a little inconsistent, right? They can look great one day, maybe not as good the next day. And I think the older guys have done a really, really nice job of putting their arm around those guys, even though they're trying to kick their teeth in every single day in practice. They've done a good job of kind of showing them the ropes. This is how things are done. This is how we do things. This is the terminology we use in our men's basketball program. And that's made it an easier transition for those guys, because when Ian was a freshman and when Evan was a freshman, Jackson Katecki, they didn't really have that. They didn't have those older guys that had been in the program for multiple years, kind of knew what we were about from a culture standpoint, from a schematic standpoint, terminology. They really didn't have that. They were just kind of thrown to the water, and it's a kind of sink or swim, right? And we were treading water probably their freshman year a little bit, but again, those guys can all impact our team. There's no question in my mind. They got to find that consistency. And I always tell those guys, it's not like Halloween, although we're about to embark on Halloween. It's not, everybody doesn't get playing time. I can't play 13 guys, right? You got to earn it through practice, and that gains my trust when I see consistency with productivity and then consistency executing our system.
You had the ability to be pretty picky in the transfer market, knowing you only really had one spot. So what were you kind of looking for, and why did you guys end up deciding that Elmer was your guy?
Yeah, just fit. You guys know this. We've said this before, but the transfer portal is a lot like speed dating. I mean, it is, and it's who you bring into your program's so important from a culture standpoint. I felt very comfortable. Number one, we wanted to get somebody that had won before, right? Almar's coming from Bradley, where he was coached by Brian Wardle, who does a tremendous job. He's won a lot of games in his first 2 years of college basketball, and he's played in those games. So not only has he seen it, but he was in it, which I thought was really, really important. Number two was just his versatility. He can play the 5, he can play the 4. He's not position strict, which I like. It gives us more flexibility as far as our lineups. Because you didn't know, kind of honestly, with the freshman, you never know until you start coaching the freshmen every day who's going to be able to help you right away, who can pick up things, who can execute at the level that we need to be able to execute in order to win games. So I like the versatility that he brought in, because I knew he could play either as a small ball 5, or he could kind of play as a jumbo 4, right? And I love his ability to shoot the ball and his ability to think, right? He sees things. The way we play, we shoot a lot of threes, obviously, and he can shoot them at a very, very, very high clip, which I like.
Coach, after last season, how do you sell the program to your returners and even some of your recruits? How do you sell that to those players?
Yeah, I think, I always say our recruiting pitch to guys that have been in our program has been your experience, right? Like when I sat down with Eian, or I sat down with Peter or Evan at the conclusion of last year, there is no pitch, to be honest. I mean, it's, hey, do you like, if you like it here, you're staying. If you don't, you're moving on. It's as simple as that. But I do think, man, the trajectory, I've used this quote with you guys before, but being obsessed with trajectory and not necessarily the result. Our program's been on an upward trend. We got to keep it on that. But I do think there's a new excitement, new energy around our program, which there hasn't been in previous years.
Coach, last year rebounding was an issue, but you bring in Robbins and Elmer. How is kind of getting them to come in this year? And how does it feel to have kind of 2 really physical forwards coming in?
Yeah, I thought we were pretty good on the defensive glass. Offensive glass got better than we were the year before. And our offensive rebounding numbers are never going to be great, probably due to our space, because we play 5 out. But it did improve 5.5 percentage points last year from the previous year, which was good. But we need that to be, so not to bore you with the analytics, we were at 27.5% last year. That's about, we got 27.5% of our misses back. So I'd like to get that to 30 this year if we could. I think Tyler's size and Almar's size were bigger than we've been. You talked about that. I mean, that helps obviously with rebounding. Coach Carsey's done a great job. You've seen some of those younger guys continue to get stronger. A guy like Eian Elmer has continued to get stronger as well in the weight room. Brant Byers has gotten stronger. Not that he's ever going to be 240 pounds, but he's definitely stronger than he was too. So, and it's just a point of emphasis. Listen, the team that wins the shot disparity doesn't have to be nearly as efficient, right? Field goal percentage and stuff like that. If I can get up more shots than the other team, that's a huge advantage, right? So taking care of the rebounding war and the turnover disparity are those are the 2 most indicative things of winning, right? And so we talk about that stuff probably ad nauseum. I mean, our guys probably get tired of hearing about it, but it's like, hey, block out, block out, block out. And then on the other end, we got to crash the glass like crazy to give ourselves second opportunities.
Covered Trey Perry throughout his high school career.
Yeah.
What brought him here? What was the reason why he wants to play Miami basketball?
Yeah, I think number one, he takes a lot of pride. He's a local guy, and hopefully getting this program back to ultimately where we want it to be. And I think Trey would say that. But academically, I think he was, original public Ivy school. It's close to home. We're on that upward trajectory, the relationship piece. I think Trey, when you watched him in high school, just his competitiveness, his toughness that he plays with, the tenacity that he plays with, really is very, very loud. Obviously has a great ability to score the ball as well, which I love. So the team that usually scores more points wins last time I checked. So
with Antoine last year, you had a really good defender there in the middle. How confident are you that if Antoine gets in foul trouble or needs a blow or whatever, that you've got somebody that you can interject into that spot?
Yeah, so we lost our other 5-man from last year, who was a really good player for us, in Potter. I mean, he had a really good year last year for us. Listen, I think Antoine's going to make a big jump. Not that I'm going to answer your question, but Antoine is, I think offensively, you guys will see him take a big step forward. We got to get him the ball more than we have in previous years and last year. He's going to be a bigger focal point in our offense. But when he does need a blow, listen, or he gets in foul trouble, which he's gotten in foul trouble quite a bit last year. If you look at he fouls quite a bit. He's a physical dude. I feel very comfortable with Elmer Atlason. He could play a small ball 5. There's no doubt about it. Tyler Robbins is really, really impressed during this preseason. He's had some great moments for a freshman. He's got incredible hands. He can score it. I mean, I've been very, very impressed with him. And Jackson Kentucky's gotten a lot better. Now, he hasn't played in the 2 previous years, but he's been around. Listen, he works. He's in the gym. He lifts. He's gotten stronger. He's taken his game to another level as well. So I think we have plenty of size to be able to battle the MAC and compete for championships.
Threes were an important weapon for you last year. It looks like you've still got the stuff here with to be able to continue to keep using that.
We do. Our shooting may be a hair different than it's been than last year. You look at our front court guys. Like whether it's a Byers, who I think is as good as any shooter in college basketball, whether it's Elmer Atlason, Tyler Robbins can really, 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 really shoot. Trey Perry brought him in. He can really, really shoot the ball. Ipsaro, Luke, Pete, Eian. I mean, we got a lot of guys who can make them. And listen, I do think we'll get to the free throw line more this year. I think that'll be the one change you guys may see a little bit. Every team's different. But I think you'll see probably an increase in that because I think we're able to drive the ball a little bit more as guys have developed as well in the offseason. But we'll still take a lot of threes. There's no doubt about it.
When you look at your starters, you obviously have a lot of experience, a lot of older guys. But one guy I'm particularly interested in is Brent Byers. Can you talk about his involvement? He had a great year last year, and what got him the starting job?
Yeah, Brent had a tremendous freshman year. He had a great freshman year. I thought, again, if you guys remember, a lot of people don't. They always remember the finish and not necessarily the beginning. Kind of got off to a rocky start. Maybe his first 4 or 5 games, couldn't throw it in the ocean. But water's always going to find its level, and it obviously did with Brant. Brant is a tremendous shooter, cutter. He's really improved off the bounce a lot. He's worked hard on it. His ability to finish and drive in straight lines and keep that line. He still crashes the glass. He's a guy that's 6'8" and can do a lot of different things, man. I expect big things out of him this year.
You're talking about the 5 true freshmen you brought in earlier. Do you think in today's era, obviously roster construction so much different than it was, just 5-10 years ago? Do you think in today's era you could bring in a more talented freshman class than you could 5 years ago?
I think so. I think you're looking at the quote unquote high majors. A lot of times are waiting. They're trying to live off the portal, right? Get old, stay old, and so there's opportunities for us to get maybe a notch more talented guy than maybe we could have even 3 or 4 years ago. There's no doubt about it. So I'm excited about the talent we have. They have a lot to learn. All right. I always say it's like a blank canvas when you get a freshman. And I just got to remind because we only had one real true freshman last year. Brant was a freshman, but he had actually redshirted the second semester of the year before. And keep on telling our staff, we just got to be patient, teach, grow, get them better. And again, it's because we all want it now. I think even freshmen do, right? They want to be great today. We want them to be great today. but it is a process. It is a process getting in there. But they all five are very, very, very talented.
Point guard is the straw that stirs the drink there. How do you feel about your depth there, and are you going to be able to maybe get some time for some people early in the season?
Yeah, I think start off with Evan Psaro. I think, the quarterback of your team is so important, right? A guy that can process information and make the game easy for everybody on both ends. Kind of the tone setter, the engine to the car, right? In a lot of ways. And Evan had a really good finish to the year last year. I thought his second half of the season was tremendous. He kind of, even though he wasn't starting, had kind of become our starter. You look at his minutes, it really, really increased to MAC play, and he closed games every game for us. He was our closer. I just didn't start him. He was so unselfish, and I'll bet the team. I told him, I said, "Man, you could easily be our starter." I didn't want to ruffle any of the feathers or any of the lineups that we had. Kind of, that's why he didn't start. But he's the ultimate winner, man. Listen, Evan, he's an absolute dog on the floor. He makes the game easy for everybody. He's as good of a pure point guard as I've ever coached. He's tremendous. The way he competes on both ends, man, ultimate trust. Same guy every day. He's the extension of me on the floor. And he's got I totally trust him. Talk about the depth piece. Last year we had Luke Skaljak only learn the two. He's a freshman. And I felt like that would give him the best position to be successful as a freshman. It's hard to learn the point guard position as a freshman because not only do you have to know your spot, you got to know everybody else's spot as well. You got to be able to set the table to get us in whatever we need to be in offensively. And then you got to be the head of the snake defensively, picking up a lot of times full court. Luke is more of a scorer maybe than Evan a little bit. And Luke will still play some too, but he's definitely going to play some one as well. Because he's smart enough. He's been in our system. He can get us in offense. He's really grown in that area. Trey Perry is a freshman, has been very impressive. He's had some great days. He can really score the ball. He's a different type of point guard than maybe Evan. Evan can do some things he can't do, and guess what? Trey can do some things that Evan can't do, right? So which is good. You have different types of players. But I think Trey is more than capable physically. He's ready to do it. He's strong enough. Very well coached at Lakota East High School with Clint Atkins as well. And I think he can make an impact at that spot.
Coach, last year you guys were the hunters. You attacked the Ohios, the Toledos, the Akrons, maybe snuck up on some teams. But this year you guys are number 2 in the MAC preseason poll. How do you want to change that mentality to now hunted and attack the conference late?
Yeah. I would say first and foremost, man, the preseason rankings mean absolutely nothing. I don't give them they don't fill my mind at all. Now we can't let our players that fill their mind, right? Because then we'll get humbled very, very quickly if that happens. But I will say, I think we got to know we're probably teams are going to be very excited to play us. And with that comes a little bit of a different responsibility, but we still want to hunt. We're still going to be the aggressors. I don't care if we're favored in a game, if we're not favored in a game. We are playing to win. That's part of the fabric. I think what makes our program and our culture really good. We are definitely going to be the aggressor. And if they're not, then I'm going to put somebody else in the freaking game that's going to be the aggressor, right? And want to hunt. I don't want to be the hunted. I want to hunt.
Love that you got all 4 of your coaching staff members back. But I was excited when you announced Dan Lewis. How cool is that? Talk about what Dan is going to do being on the other side of the court.
Listen, you guys know from last year, Dan was a huge part of our success last year. I sat down with him and his dad when he was in the transfer portal. I told him he probably wasn't going to play. And I said, but I need your leadership. I knew how young we were last year going to be. And I knew Dan was about all the right things. And Dan was so impactful for us on a day-to-day basis. He played in some games. He helped us in some games. He always reminds me of the Ball State game here on senior night and all that. Maybe he said, Coach, maybe you should have played me a little bit more, half jokingly. But Dan was a good player. But man, just the impact he had with his leadership and his toughness, his competitiveness was so loud last year. And he was just so unselfish for a fifth-year senior, a guy who had started at a Division I program the year before. To accept the role that he accepted last year permeated throughout the rest of the team. And so after the season, I asked him, I said, what's your plan? What do you want to do? And he said, I don't really know. I said, well, you should coach. I think you'd be a really good one. I think you see the game well. You're ultra competitive. I mean, I don't care what line of business Dan gets into, whether he was selling insurance or being an accountant, he's going to be successful because he's so darn competitive. And so he said, I'll get back to you in the next couple of days. Let me think about it. He came back, said he'd love to do it. But his fear was, well, coach, how are these guys that I just played with going to see me as a coach? You know, and I said, Dan, they already see you as a coach in a lot of ways. You've been coaching them all year on the bench, in practice. I said, this will be seamless for you, I promise, because they respect you. And he's been awesome. He's always in the gym with our guys, getting extra work in. He's kind of the gatekeeper for what we call our Miami Way stats in practice, our shot spectrum stats in practice. He's on the scout team in practice, like making our guys better. He's been awesome. He's going to have a huge impact with our program. He's going to be a tremendous coach.